What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. Man, what a crazy weekend that was last weekend, right? I don't think any of us were expecting that. And if you were, hey man, kudos to you for being able to predict what's going to happen in the future. But I didn't expect anything like that to happen so soon. But it did. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Operation Midnight Hammer. Okay, I mean, they brought the hammer down on the Iranian nuclear program, okay? This deep underground nuclear base that supposedly was around up to 300 feet down below the surface of the earth. And the weird thing about this whole deal was, like, just before this operation took place, I was watching a video where a guy was talking about even this MOP bomb, the massive ordnance penetrator, whatever it stands for. Even that bomb, the biggest one that we have that's a penetrator type bomb, wasn't capable of going 300 feet deep. But they must have found some weakness. You know, they must have found that spot on the Death Star where Luke Skywalker could guide his, you know, what was that, the B-2 bomber that they used, I believe. And those are awesome looking planes. They're stealth planes, obviously. And I can't believe those guys flew 18 hours straight. And I don't know how that works. I don't know if they have autopilot on those deals where they can take turns. You know, maybe there's two pilots. I don't really know much about them. But that's really impressive that they were able to fly, at my understanding, without landing for 18 hours straight to the target and then straight back home, you know, refueling in the air and stuff like that. So kudos to those heroes that were involved in that operation. It's great to see the American military getting its feet back underneath it. I'm going to be doing this because I got mosquitoes buzzing around right now because we've been getting hammered with rain out here. It's been like Operation Springtime Hammer around my area. We've never seen so much rain. It's been crazy. So when I'm not recording and doing different things, it's usually for a good reason. I've been mowing. Every chance I get, I'm having to mow out here. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Another reason why you haven't heard from me is, for the first time in like 5 years, I picked up some sort of a bug a few days ago, and I actually had an event when I was over at the land. I didn't know I was sick or getting sick, and I started, man, really responding to the heat and humidity in a real bad way, like I'd never done before. And I thought I was having like heat exhaustion or something, or on the edge of heat stroke. So my wife and I, we split. We came back here to our suburb house where we have air conditioning, and I wasn't feeling any better later on that night. Well, after about 24 hours, I realized I had a fever and stuff. So we started treating it more like a flu or a cold or whatever. And I started feeling better because it broke the fever. But man, I was miserable. And I was thinking, man, am I going to have to go to the ER for freaking heat stroke or whatever? This has never happened to me before. And I'm usually pretty heat tolerant, right? So anyway, it kind of threw me off and I didn't feel like recording because I was sicker than a dog. But I was wanting to talk to you guys because all this stuff has gone on over the weekend that's just incredible. This is like a special operation, a precision tactical strike, okay? We knew what we were going in for. This is strictly a military target. We told them, we gave them a deadline. We did everything we could do to get them to agree to the terms that they'd already agreed to, which was they were not going to enrich uranium past a certain point, according to the, you know, whatever it's called, the International Atomic, whatever the hell, I don't know. I don't know what that agency's called, but it's some UN group, and they went over there and discovered that these people had been enriching uranium far past the 3% necessary for nuclear production, power production. Instead, they had it all the way up to, I heard one report saying 60%, and I heard another report saying 83%. And apparently you need like 90% to create a bomb. So they were very close to having the ingredients to make this terrible cake called a nuclear bomb. And they could have, you know, taken out a lot of people, and they probably would have had to have some sort of a ICBM to deliver such a heavy payload and things like this, okay? Maybe they weren't like 2 weeks away or 2 days away, but they were within a short amount of time of having a nuclear bomb. And I know there are some other countries out there like Pakistan that, for, I don't know how they got it, but somehow or another, Pakistan ended up with a bunch of nuclear bombs too. And personally, you know, this is just my own opinion based on the research that I've delved pretty deep into the religion of Islam. And it is not a religion of peace, as the left has been portraying it here in the United States for the past at least 2 decades and beyond, since 9/11. I remember, yeah, I was old enough to see what was going on before 9/11 and old enough to see what was happening as a result of 9/11. And something that I don't think I've heard very many people talk about baffles me to this day. You tell me how it is in a common sense, logical thinking country that terrorists from certain nations, Middle Eastern nations, and all of them were devout Muslims, extreme Muslims, I would say, the most extreme Muslims. How is it after an event as horrific as 9/11, and we see what a lot of these people, I don't want to say all, but a lot of these people that are devout followers of Islam believe that the United States and Israel and other Western countries, other non-Muslim countries, any other non-Muslim is an infidel. And if they will not submit to Islam, then they are to either be killed or enslaved or tortured. There's a whole bunch of stuff they can do. But they have said things out loud, openly, about death to America, death to Israel, the big Satan, the little Satan, on and on and on and on. When in fact, they are some of the most barbaric, evil people on the face of the planet. They do horrific things. I mean, we don't have to talk about how old Muhammad's wife was or anything like that. I think a lot of you guys that have studied a little bit, it was based on some sick ideology by some sick different people. And I guess what I'm trying to say, the best way I can summarize this is Islam and Christianity are like oil and water. They do not mix. But yet, after 9/11, under George W. Bush, this is what's so mind-blowing about this. Under George W., after 9/11, we had an explosion in Muslim immigrants coming to this country, and we allowed them in. Does that make any sense anywhere in any thinking society that wants to have self-preservation and future and things like that? No, of course it doesn't. But yet we did it. And the proof is in the pudding. The Pew Research, who's definitely not a conservative organization by any stretch of the imagination. I was reading through this whole thing where they were looking back over the last 20, 25 years, whatever, since 9/11. They were looking back on that, and they were saying that they can tell it's the number of mosques in the United States of America have doubled since before 9/11. So that ought to tell you everything you need to know right there. And you can look, I couldn't find the exact numbers of how many people came in. I think they're keeping that hidden. And when I went and tried to search it on different search sites, and I even tried Google, and every single site that I tried, Bing, Google, DuckDuckGo, all of them, were giving me all of the CNN news stories about how the Muslims have been, what do they call it? Islamophobia has been used against these Muslims since 9/11, and they wanted to tell their stories. All I was trying to find out was how many of them came in since 9/11 and how many of them used to come in before 9/11. I couldn't even do the research for you guys to give you an exact number because Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, all these places, all these search engines are censoring that information. Now, maybe I could have went to some AI or something like that, but I try to leave that crap alone, man. I think it's like, it's asking for problems. It's asking for incorrect data and things like that. They've proven this stuff is not trustworthy. It'll tell you pretty much what you want to hear, which is not what I want. I want the facts. And I couldn't find any of that because there's so much censorship, even out in the open on these search engines, that they will not allow you to search what you're looking for anymore. It's just completely ridiculous, man. I miss the old internet where it was free and you could go in there and find things that you were looking for. But anyway, long story short, Operation Midnight Hammer appears to be a massive success, okay? The media is trying to spin this as if it was nothing, as if they were downplaying it, saying, well, we may not have actually destroyed it, and they may have gotten all their stuff out of here, and on and on and on. Meanwhile, leftists all around the country over the weekend were out protesting because they were saying, we can't go to war with Iran. No one's saying we're going to war with Iran. It's up to them now. We struck their nuclear site, which we told them they had a certain amount of time to get rid of. We said, hey, man, Here's the red line. Here's the line in the sand, like Obama used to say. Here's the line in the sand. Don't cross this line. Only this time, when they crossed the line, we actually did something. And these liberals don't like it. They say it's World War III for sure, and it's all Trump's fault. He's a warmonger, on and on and on. Now, one thing I don't like is Trump has cozied up to some people like Lindsey Graham, or Lindsey Graham has cozied up to Trump. And right now, he's doing everything Trump wants him to do. But when it's convenient for Graham, he'll turn, because he's a turncoat. He's a traitor. He cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's war. The guy he's pro-war in every instance, okay? I've never seen an instance where Lindsey Graham was like, whoa, 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 we shouldn't go to war with these people. No, he's always the first one. So it makes me think that he's got some sort of, kickback from, Boeing or one of these weapons manufacturing places, right? I mean, he's getting some kind of something from lobbyists or somebody to push this stuff like he does. And the weirdest thing of all is he keeps getting reelected. It's mind-blowing. It's like Mitch McConnell. What in the hell are you doing, Kentucky? You got one guy that, I mean, honestly, there's a controversy going on right now. Thomas Massey, which I don't know much about his voting record. I don't know much about the guy as a politician. But I have seen some videos on YouTube of Massey showing before his wife died not too long ago, him and his family, I mean, they were homeschooling. They had a self-sustaining, self-reliant farm situation going on. And he was showing, that was what the video was about, was his farmstead. They had solar off grid. They were 100% self-reliant. Well, for the most part, they were probably still buying salt and flour and different things that were too hard to make. But as much as they could, they were being self-reliant and living the actual dream. And I don't know how the guy was able to do this while being a politician, but he was, and it was very impressive. It immediately made me think, man, this Massey guy must be a pretty good dude. For one, he's doing these things. You can see what he's doing. And well, anyway, long story short, Trump is actively running Massey down because Massey didn't support this invasion. Massey is trying to say that it's unconstitutional. And this is where I'm going to disagree with Massey. Because this is not a war. This is a strategic, pinpointed attack. It's not, we didn't go carpet bomb Iran, okay? We didn't go and put troops on the ground. That's a war. We didn't go and put aircraft carriers everywhere and start launching all kinds of air attacks against them. No. What did we do? A strategic, tactical, pinpoint precision strike. And it appears to have worked. But anyway, there's a division, like a minor little, it doesn't have to be a major thing, but I'm afraid it's going to turn into a major thing. There's a division inside the Republicans where some people are just, oh God, well, no matter what, we shouldn't mess with Iran, blah, blah, blah. That's just getting us involved into another war. I do understand where you're coming from, but based on what I already said about Islam, you can't let these psychopaths get a hold of nuclear weapons. What the hell are you going to do? So, I mean, a lot of Republicans are going to need to do some soul searching. Is this really war? Is what I said true? Is Islam and Christianity incompatible under any circumstances? I believe it is. I believe it is. And one of the main reasons I believe this so strongly is something that I heard, a passage that came directly out of their book, their holy book, the Quran. And it said something along the lines, if you're living in an infidel country, Allah can't see you. So the things that you do there, they're forbidden from drinking alcohol and, whatever, all kinds of things, doing drugs, stuff like that. But when they're over here living in the U.S., see, Allah can't see them. There's some sort of a magic umbrella that Allah can't see through, right? And because of that, they can do whatever they want over here, basically, and they don't get in trouble for it, see? So I would argue my God is automatically more powerful than yours because my God can see everything. He knows every hair on your head, okay? From the time you're born till the time you die. He knows every thought in your mind, all of that stuff. So that being said, I don't trust a God that tells me they can't see because I'm in a certain geographical location on the globe, okay? So that's a little confusing. And then there's this other factor, that it's okay to become friends with an infidel, but you're allowed and encouraged to lie and mislead them in every instance. You're allowed to trick them, to tell them every lie you need to tell them. It's okay to lie because they're an infidel, see? They're encouraged to do that sort of thing, instructed to do that sort of thing. And yet we have millions of them that are living here in the United States. Who knows how many, tens of thousands came through the southern border, undocumented, unchecked, under Biden's watch, which I would argue was exactly the strategy they were going for. They wanted more terrorism to come into the country. They wanted weird shit that we would never be able to manufacture here in this country. Yeah, I don't know, like suitcase nukes, like dirty bombs, like other things like that. They wanted that shit to come across the border. They were let down that it didn't happen or it didn't go off on their watch. That's what they were after. They wanted maximum chaos from what they did, what they openly did. They said, come one, come all, bring all your refugees. Oh yeah, look at what the Statue of Liberty says. It says it says empty out your prisons, Venezuela. It says empty out your insane asylums and send them over to America. And we're supposed to stand here with open arms and take the worst of the worst, rapists, murderers, you name it. You know the whole thing. You know the whole thing. We just lived through it. And that's what I'm getting at, man, is these liberals are the biggest freaking hypocrites on the face of God's green earth. My God sees every inch of this earth. So what do you want? I mean, these people, I was just thinking today, I heard that there's a loose, I don't know, I guess they're acting like this ceasefire deal between Israel and Iran and the United States is a sure deal. I don't trust it because, again, what I just said, they're instructed in their book to lie to the infidels, the so-called infidels. That's us. We're the great Satan. Israel's the mini Satan or whatever. They hate us. They hate us. There are people here in our own society. I'm going to have to be careful on this one because I certainly don't want to get accused of anything or banned or anything like that. But there are people here, American people, born and bred right here in America, that have been taught and indoctrinated generation after generation that, you don't cooperate with the law enforcement. When they pull you over, you give them all the hell you can. You say, oh, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing, over and over and over. You don't have anything else but push and repeat on whatever the last thing you said was. I mean, I see this over and over, and I'm just like, God dang, man, don't y'all have any original thoughts? Can't you come up with anything, a better argument than I didn't do nothing? Can't you tell them what you were doing? I mean, no, they can't, because oftentimes they're caught red-handed doing the thing, and they'll say, I didn't do nothing. As I was thinking about all this stuff over the weekend while I was sick and things, I started thinking about video clips that I've seen from the past because, I was born in 75. I wasn't anywhere even thought of in the 1950s and 60s. But when you look at videos and images of the people on the streets of these major Democrat cities, go to New York, go to Chicago, go to LA, whatever, you'll see professionally dressed people. You'll see women acting like women, men acting like men, doing manly things, women doing womanly things. There's nothing wrong with that. And yet, in this modern society, there is something totally wrong with it. It's oppressive. It's, it's whatever. It's keeping women down. It's not being equal. It's not. Well, we've done all these things, all of these Marxist things that have eroded our morality, okay? That's the real thing. It's our morality that has eroded. When you see, it's not about whether that person or that group of people are black or white or whatever race they may be out here in the LA riots most recently, let's say. There's a mixture because it's no longer one side or the other. It's all of them have been indoctrinated to these Marxist beliefs that the United States is bad, our founding is bad, it's based on slavery, everything good, it was built by the slaves, and everything bad was built by, you know, all the old white men that made this country and stuff, right? It's a real shame because that's not the truth. And these people, they base everything else off of that. So of course, when you look at it from their perspective, anything the United States does, especially with Orange Man as president, okay, that's the real problem. Anything Trump does. I don't care if he came up with some way. Let's say the tariffs were a super huge success. And let's say what Elon Musk was doing brought in trillions like he claimed it was going to happen, you know, and we found all this government waste and we had all these extra, you know, the deficit was getting lowered. Everything was looking good. The national debt clock was coming down for the first time in decades or whatever. You know, I don't know how long it's been, probably more than decades now. Let's say all that was happening and Trump decided that he's going to give every American, you know, $500,000. He's going to put a special presidential deposit in every American's bank account for $500,000, okay? The liberals would find some way to say that that's a bad thing. They would find some way to, you know, to throw shade. And I get it. Part of it is just they're in opposition of everything he does. But we're getting to the point of this is ludicrous, okay? So over the weekend, Operation Midnight Hammer went off. The liberals the next day were out protesting all around the country and stuff, saying no war with Iran, blah, blah, blah. No one was even talking about that but them and their media mouthpieces. And then today, there's a good chance that there's some sort of a ceasefire deal reached. Oh, keep in mind, Iran, their supreme leaders and all that, whatever they call their mullahs over there, right? Khomeini and all those guys. They said, we'll never surrender. Well, then like 6 hours later, they were like, oh, well, let's sign this ceasefire deal. So again, I don't trust these bastards any farther than I can throw them. But now there's a ceasefire. So are the left going to come out tomorrow and protest that there's no war like they did, or that we're anti-war, that we're not doing enough like they did with Ukraine, right? I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. The whole reason, I remember this, the whole reason Barack Obama supposedly got elected was so that he would end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Do you guys remember that? I remember it. George W. Bush was a warmonger. He was the worst scumbag on the face of the earth. On and on and on. He was so dumb he couldn't put two sentences together. On and on and on. And here comes Barack Hussein Obama. After 9/11, I was utterly shocked that the American people, maybe you might say it's trivial how a person is named. But to me, when I hear a name, Barack Hussein Obama, what do I think of? Do I think of, you know, Matthew, Luke, John, Paul, you know, biblical names? No, that's not, as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but as far as I know, there are no Hussein, there are no Baracks listed in the Bible that I can recall. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. That sounds very much like a Muslim name, okay? I think we would all agree. One of the people we were fighting in Iraq, you know, and trying to get rid of was Saddam Hussein, okay? How in the hell did he get elected after 9/11? Well, I'll tell you how. The American mainstream media pretended like there was all this Islamophobia going on and people just hated Muslims. And it was so wrong because they're not all like that. It's the religion of love, don't you know? I mean, blah, blah, blah. Some extremists act that way, like Osama bin Laden, but not the others. No, they're good and they're peaceful. And while there may be spectrums, there may be a range of, yeah, the really crazy fuckers are up here and some of them are kind of more normal. I would argue that the more normal ones are probably not devout Muslims, okay? And if the crazy bastards ever hear about these people not doing enough, then they're going to call them out and, you know, do horrific things to them, stone them to death, throw them off a building. And the most bizarre twist in irony that these leftists openly display over and over and over is that somehow places like Iran are going to accept the LGBTQ community. Those are the people that you see coming out in support of all these riots and protests and other things, right? They wouldn't last 10 minutes in a place like that before they got thrown off a building. And yet they defend that place passionately, loudly. And again, what do I think about it? Should we have done it? Yeah, I think we should have done it. Because the main reason that I think we should have done it is because Islam, in my opinion, anyone that is a devout practicer of Islam, especially someone like Khomeini in Iran, cannot get a hold of a weapon like that under any circumstances. We can't let them have it. And whether you like it or not, am I saying we're the world police? No. I don't think that a lot of these problems are our problems, and I don't think we should have to mess with a lot of these things. But whether you like Israel or not, they're one of our number one, if not our top ally that can be trusted to have our back during bad stuff. Now, has Israel done some things over the years that make me raise my eyebrow? And, you know, Mossad and these other groups. I mean, I'll never forget, guys, the dancing Israelis. I have questions about their involvement in what happened on 9/11. That's all I'm going to say, because otherwise my stupid video will get banned. These people can't take opposition. They can't take any opinion that doesn't push forward the mainstream narrative. So you guys will have to read between the lines of what I think about the dancing Israelis and other things that pointed to some sort of a Mossad involvement in what happened. Okay, if nothing else, they knew it was going to happen. How did they know? You might argue that George W. Bush and Dick Cheney called them up and told them it was going to happen before it happened. I don't know. A lot of weird shit happened before 9/11, the build up to 9/11, the money that was missing. There was a lot of really suspect stuff that went on that day. The plane that hit the Pentagon, missile plane, whatever it was that hit the Pentagon that day, none of us knows. And we'll probably never get the truth on that, especially as long as it's been and we still haven't, you know, the way the buildings collapsed. We could go on and on about 9/11, but YouTube won't let me. But what I will say is the American people, something changed drastically in the American people. I mean, obviously, we were all nervous. We were all scared. So we were kind of on the same page for a few days there as far as what to do. And then suddenly, on a dime, that the Democrats turned on their heel and they were anti-war all of a sudden. Until Hillary Clinton ran. Oh, wait a minute. I can't forget that. Wait. Barack Obama, the anti-war candidate, came in and did a lot of these special operations like Trump is, these strategic strikes like Trump is doing, only Obama used drones. They were fairly new technology at the time. He used drones. He killed American citizens with these drones without due process. The thing that I hear the liberals screaming the loudest about right now. And normally I would get on board with that. Due process, in my opinion, is for American-born citizens or American citizens. You don't maybe have to be born here, but you have to have that citizenship before due process applies to you. Otherwise, you're invading our country. You're here illegally. You have no constitutional rights. In my opinion, you have no right to a driver's license unless you have permission through a green card or a work visa or something like that. Then there's no reason for you to be here, and you can't have any legal documentation, or you're not entitled to any. I mean, really? This is a tough one. Okay, so if an illegal comes to your hospital, are you going to turn them away? No, but we're not going to give them free, you know, if it's emergency, right? The guy's got a broken arm, he's got blood spurting out of his neck or something. Are we going to help that guy? Yeah, we'll patch him up. We know the bill ain't going to get paid, and we're going to send him straight to ICE or Border Patrol or whoever the nearest, you know, the sheriff or whatever. We're going to turn them over to that, you know, that person's custody because they're not a legal citizen. That's how it should go. But how it really goes is they go in, they get free health care through Obamacare and other things like this. They get welfare, they get all kinds of benefits, and the liberals say nothing. Meanwhile, our national debt, our deficit, everything's going up. The value of the dollar's going down. Everything costs an arm and a leg at the store, and the liberals say nothing. Trump comes in, starts trying to reverse it. Now they're melting down. Melting down. Literally melting down. Some of the stores that were out there in LA and stuff, that seemed to be the place that got the worst. But my point is that you can't please somebody like that. These people have decided that no matter what Trump does, no matter how good it benefits their own lives, they're never going to acknowledge it, and they will only see the bad stuff. Nobody's perfect. Trump makes plenty of mistakes. I don't like it that he's fighting with Massey. I wish he'd back off on that and just say, hey, Massey, I wish he would try to convince Massey. And if he can't convince Massey, I wish he would at least say something along these lines. We agree to disagree on this one issue. And that's okay. That's okay. Massey, in fact, I respect you for coming into me and not being a yes man. That's the kind of people you want to hold on to, not get rid of. Now, I don't know everything about Massey. Maybe he's done some other things that are, bad for Trump or bad for the MAGA party, Republican Party, whatever you want to call it. That is possible, but it's just really weird to me that you don't want to do that. You don't want to cut the legs out from underneath somebody that has the guts to stand up and speak up, especially when they're saying that it's a violation of the Constitution. Trump should have came in there, talked to Massey, had a meeting with him and said, look, man, you may, maybe in the original intent of the Constitution, maybe you're right, but I can show you where, FDR, I don't know who it was. It wasn't FDR. Eisenhower, several presidents along the way have had to use strategic strikes, including more recently Barack Obama. Okay. He used them with drones. He killed people, blew up weddings, different things like that. Clinton did some stuff. He blew up an aspirin factory, things like that. No one was calling for his impeachment when Clinton did it. No one called for impeachment. Maybe a couple of Republicans might have called for impeachment when Obama did it, but it never went anywhere. Never went anywhere. We didn't go out. We didn't burn down cities. We didn't riot. We didn't terrorize people. And that's, as I was sitting there thinking about all this stuff over the weekend, I had this really almost an epiphany type thought come through my mind. It's that, again, I believe the people on the left, a lot of them are just young and dumb and confused, and they think they're doing the right thing. Okay. A lot of people, especially younger people, they tend to lean toward what they perceive as compassion. Okay. Even if it's idiotic, even if it's suicidal for our future of our country, if they see it as compassionate, then they're going to push for that, because that's just something younger people tend to do. I would argue that once people get a little older and wiser and they start having their own families and their own bills and their own houses and, things to do, things like that, their own jobs, things, right? I would argue that's the people that tend to be more conservative and more reasonable and logical. And you can walk up to somebody like that and have a disagreement with them, and you can talk it out, and you may not even agree at the end, but you don't necessarily hate each other for having differing opinions. I guess it depends on what the topic is, but for the most part, you could have conversations with these people in the past. I remember it. I used to do it, man. I used to have, I don't want to say friends, but I had acquaintances. When my wife was going to college, we had some friends, mutual friends. We would get together, and I was still in high school, but I would get together with these people and have debates about, conservatism, or we would talk all kinds of stuff, liberalism, abortion, what should it do? War, what should we do? We had open debates. No one ever screamed. No one ever talked over each other. We were polite. We were cordial for the most part. Not to say that it never got passionate, because it did. But I watch these people that are out protesting, and you'll have some, there's 2 or 3 guys I watch here on YouTube that are like doing man on the street interviews of these protesters. And they're asking them, while they may be charged questions, they're not designed to entrap them. They're just trying to get their opinion. Like, well, why are you out here? and these people will start freaking out and shutting down. And then the little yellow vest people will come over and they'll get between the people and say, oh, you don't have to talk to him. He's on the other side. You don't have to talk to him, blah, blah, blah. Now, let me ask you, is that the way we have ever solved anything in our country up to this point? By refusing to speak to the other side, by shutting them down, by speaking over them, by constantly interrupting them. I tried to watch a Piers Morgan interview earlier about what's going on over in Iran, and they had that woman from, I can't remember, the Young Turks, another show that I don't watch, that I don't understand how is still so popular here on YouTube when it's run by open communists. Anyway, Anna Kasparian or something like that. I don't know her name exactly. I don't follow her. I don't know anything about her except for she's a liberal communist. That's what she seems to be anyway. And she's in my opinion, a terrorist sympathizer for some reason, an Iranian sympathizer. These people are not good people. People like her would not be allowed to walk down the street over there or drive a car, okay, without their proper, I mean, we heard about the woman. She wasn't wearing the proper hijab or whatever it's called, the headscarf, you know. How the hell would you like it if it's the middle of the summer, 105 degrees, and you got to go outside? But first, before you go outside, you got to cover your ankle up, make sure nobody sees your ankle, because, man, you know what happens when someone sees an ankle. And then you got to cover your whole face up, and only a little slit can be seen right here. And if you don't wear that proper thing, well, they'll just kill your ass. They'll just kill you. That's what they do. They're brutal. I'll be honest with you, out of all of the civilizations that I've studied and looked at over the years, they've had all the same opportunities that the West has had to embrace technology and different things like that, and to be more united, with the internet. We can talk to people. I can talk to people. I get people from Australia commenting on my videos, man. Hey, Big Trev, I hope you're out there having a good time, buddy. And some other people, one guy from New Zealand that I talk to from time to time, and people from England, Germany, Russia, whatever. Not Russia so much anymore because that's been shut down, I think. But the point is that was supposed to bring us together and show us that we're not all that much different. We have different ways of going about it, different cultures and things like that, but it didn't work with the Islamic people. They doubled down on their stupidity. They doubled down on their archaic ideology and are the least advanced culture on the face of the planet, I would think. I would say that, if you put them up against anyone else that's had an opportunity to come into the modern world, they take the cake. They're the ones still living kind of like cavemen, kind of like, animals and stuff. And it's bizarre to me. Not to say they don't have cities. They do have cities. They have places where you can go to restaurants, and they probably have electricity, intermittent and stuff like that over there. They have vehicles, they have cars, but in the back of their brain, buried as deep as you can, they've got this hatred toward the West. And they're never going to get rid of it. So, what do? After 9/11, we say, come on over. We don't hate Islam. We don't hate Muslims. Come on over. Yeah, man, it's part of the American way. Bring them all in. Yeah, we want them all. No, that ain't how it was, man. If you look back at history, just go take a little brief look at what happened when Thomas Jefferson had to interact with the Nation of Islam way back in the day. He didn't like them too much. I don't know if he banned them from coming here, but we weren't too friendly with them either, because we recognized that they were pretty much outside of the realm of reason. You can't reason with someone who is, how can I say this without getting banned? That's why I've been hesitating here is a little bit. It's because I'm like, I got to dance around this stuff, and I hate that. I like being a direct person. So, They're just archaic. That's probably the best word I can use to describe them. And they want to be that way. They want to remain that way. And that's totally fine over there. We're not having Sharia law here. We're not implementing any of that stuff here. We're never going to allow Islam to take over the United States of America. It's just not going to happen. So, what do I think about Trump's midnight hammer? I think it was pretty powerful, and it dealt a powerful blow, and it let them know, hey man, these guys ain't screwing around. They told us to do a thing, we didn't do it, we didn't listen, we ho-hummed around, we pretended like we were going to do something, and then Trump bombed the shit out of our stuff. Now we have no choice. What does he say? He says if we do anything that takes any American lives or anything like that as retaliation, that he would bring down the full force and might of the United States military on Iran. And then it might be a war. So could this turn into war? Yeah, sure it could. Could it turn into World War III? Maybe. But Russia and China are already indicating that they don't want no shit. They don't want no trouble. Now, could that all be a ruse? Sure. You want to keep your enemy guessing, you know, and we got to remember where the art of war comes from China. So these people, they know about the art of war. They know about deception. They know about not letting your enemy know what your next plan is, okay? So we have to take everything with a grain of salt. But the good news is, at least for right now, it looks like there's going to be a ceasefire as a result of Midnight Hammer. That is a huge win. A huge win. I would expect oil prices probably will fluctuate up. They've already gone up a little bit, but I expect them to go up a little bit more, but then they'll come back down. Because at the end of the day, we really don't need their oil. We're only using it out of convenience and cheapness, okay? If it gets expensive enough, we'll just drill our own oil here. We got plenty of it. And Trump's already said we're going to do that, and we've already started some of that process. But before it really kicks in and goes full force here in the United States, you know, oil is probably going to have to at least breach the $100 a barrel price range before it really takes off here. But anyway, guys, I want you to tell me what you think about this discussion. I may get in big trouble for criticizing anything to do with Islam here. I'll probably get labeled an Islamophobic or whatever they call it, right? They'll say something, they'll call me something because I don't agree with allowing people that chant death to America, death to Israel, death to the Jews. I don't agree with allowing people like that into our society. Doesn't matter because I don't have any say in it. It's just my opinion. You have opinions as well. We're all entitled to them. And I'm using my freedom of speech here to express these opinions as fully as I can here on YouTube's platform within their rules. But, you know, also it's not lost on me that these Democrats are calling out all this crap about, oh, you can't do this, you can't bomb Iran, that's war, blah, blah, blah. Let me ask you this. Do you remember when Hillary Clinton gave Iran the uranium that enabled them to get to this point with their weapons-grade uranium? I remember. Do you remember when Barack Obama gave them billions of dollars and signed some kind of a, I mean, it wasn't even to stop them from making nukes. It was like kind of like a blessing, the American blessing. Oh yeah, go ahead. If you guys want nukes, go ahead and do it. Why would Barack Hussein Obama do that? Because he's a closet Muslim. That's what I've said all along. I knew it from the start. I could tell by the way he interacted with the Middle East. He was a closet Muslim. He's also closeted other things, I hear, but anyway. And Trump, what did he do when he came in? He seized like $60 billion of Iranian assets and money and would not turn it over to them. What did Biden do? He came in and gave them that money immediately, enabling them to launch these terror proxy attacks through Hezbollah, Hamas, what's the other one? Houthis, all these other H names, hemorrhoids, whatever. They're launching all sorts of attacks on the Jewish people because they don't want them there. They think the Middle East belongs to them. They think all of that belongs to them. I don't know when it's going to happen, but there is certainly a clash of civilizations coming. Sadly, because of birth control and other things in Western culture, they are out reproducing us by big numbers. Our numbers have gone way down. Theirs have gone way up. There's a lot more of them than there are of us. Now, we have a technological advantage. We have, better equipment. But a lot of our equipment we've passed around the world and shared with other people, or allowed the Chinese to steal and reproduce. So, where does that leave us? Well, there is a world war coming. It could lead to Armageddon even. I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen in my lifetime. I hope it doesn't happen in your lifetime, because I think it will be catastrophic. It could be the end of the world for all we know, because of all the nukes that are out there currently. Depends on how it goes. So what do I tell you as a prepper? I really wouldn't change anything. If anything, if there's anything that I would change right now, I would be sure that if you've got any extra gas cans around, go ahead and fill them up now, just in case fuel spikes up to out of control prices. If you've got like I've got my Suburban, it's got like a 42-gallon tank on it. It'd be smart of me to go ahead and run that 42-gallon tank as full as I can possibly keep it until we're, out of the woods on this deal. So other than fuel, and your normal preps, don't stop buying your beans and your bullets and all that other stuff you need. Stocking up on salt and flour and other things like that that are going to be hard for you to produce once the grid goes down. Bandages, medical supplies, all those normal prepping things. You should still be buying as you can afford them to stock up your just in case SHTF stockpile. I agree with that. But you really shouldn't worry too much about this, at least not right now. Now, if Iran is giving us a big ruse and they're lying to us and there's not going to ever be any ceasefire, because that's usually how, I'll be honest with you, normally that's how these ceasefire deals go. Look at the one between Ukraine and Russia most recently. They were both violating it before the 24 hours was even up. So, guys, the world is a scary place for sure. But there's a lot of this stuff that's just completely out of our control. And the stoic thing to do is to take control of your own self, your own thoughts, your own life. Make sure that you fill your mind with truth rather than political propaganda, which is very hard to do in 2025. I hope that I do that for you guys to some degree. That's my intention. Now, not to say I've never gotten things wrong, because I have. I've gotten things wrong. I've misspoken. There's all that sort of stuff that happens. But I'm telling you this, just looking around the world, looking at those, back to what I was saying about those pictures from 1950s. When you compare and contrast Main Street Town, USA, 1950s versus 2025, go look them up and you tell me what you see. Watch some video clips. Watch people walking down the street. You'll see a lot of smiling faces. You'll see ladies that are dressed, ladylike, okay? It's amazing. It's amazing. Go look at these beach pictures from back in the day. You didn't see women with half their body hanging out. They were pretty well covered up, even though they were in bathing suits and things, but they were a lot more modest, a lot more, it was just covered up, man. It was better. It was better. And am I saying it was all better? No, there were bad things that were happening in the 1950s, no doubt about it. But it doesn't mean that two things can't be true at the same time. Culturally and morally, as far as the professionalism, you look at these men in the 1950s, they were all dressed professionally. They had suits, ties, just to go to the store on the weekend or whatever. And you're just like, man, okay, that's a bit excessive for my taste. But it was because they took pride in themselves. Nowadays, you see people wearing freaking pajamas to the store or to the airport. And you're like, what in the hell is wrong with you? They have no sense. They have no self-pride. They're self-loathing, okay? That's what a lot of these leftists are. They hate this country. They hate themselves. They hate the fact that they were born. And the best thing for someone like that to do is to cast that hatred towards another person rather than internalizing it, because they would probably go to self-destructive points I mean, completely self-destructive. I don't want to say the S word here because, again, that's another one that gets you banned on YouTube. We're broken morally. We need to rebuild. We need to look more into the 10 Commandments, you know, important stuff like thou shalt not steal, don't covet your neighbor's wife, those sorts of things, right? Love one woman, that sort of deal. Don't go out and cheat on your wife or your husband or whatever. Be loyal. It's something that a lot of people have just forgotten about, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's not that hard to do, man. It's not that hard to do. Just take self-discipline and, to a degree, self-love. You have to love yourself. You have to love your life. You have to want to do things that are good and constructive. From what I see from the left, everything they've done in the past 20 years has been destructive by design. So guys, I know we've kind of meandered all over the place here. We talked about a lot of different topics, but I want to know what you guys think about it. Am I right about this? Am I wrong about this? Am I missing something? I don't get it. I don't get it. How can people be this self-loathing? They hate their countries. They hate you. How can this be? They hate everything traditional. They hate marriage, the idea of marriage. They hate everything traditional and good, especially. I don't know if it's a false sense that they think they're God. They think they can be God if they just deny the true God. I don't know what it is, but I think that's where the answer lies, is in Christianity and the morals and fundamentals of Christianity. You don't even have to be a true devout Christian to follow the 10 Commandments. It's just a good set of rules pretty much for every country to try to live by, at least every Christian country. So anyway, guys, I've kind of said my piece about it here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I always love reading them. If you're from one of these countries around the world, hit me up. I love talking to people from foreign countries and just finding out what you guys have going on in your own countries and cultures. Let me know, do you have the same thing going on in Australia that we have going on here? Real quick. I'm not going to remember the guy's name because I just learned about this guy's channel a couple of nights ago. But there's this guy over in England, okay, like Manchester, and he's going around. He calls it, on one of the places he calls Piccadilly Square, I think it's called. He calls it Crackadilly Square because apparently the English government and the, I'm trying to remember what they call their cops over there, yellow vest cops, whatever they call them, those guys are just standing around while people are doing crack on the street, man. It's unbelievable. Well, guess what? There's places right here in the United States like that where they're doing even worse. Trank. Have you heard of this? Go watch these videos in Philadelphia where these people are doing trank and they're just nodding out, they call it, and they're like zombies. They're like zombies. And you might ask yourself, as a normal person that doesn't do trank or any kind of hard drugs like that, you might ask yourself, how can someone get to that point? Well, I'm telling you right now, if you believe what I just said, this is exactly how they get here. They're self-loathing. They hate their life. They hate the fact that they were ever born. That's why they're pro-abortion. That's why they're pro-death. And if it suits them, they're pro-war. So guys, as always, I appreciate you tuning in. And as long as I can, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.